the official agenda, we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance to the U.S. flag by Mayor Pro Tem John Holmes, followed by the Texas Pledge, led by Library Services Director Amanda Hairston, and then I will lead the invocation. Please stand.
And join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag
of the United
of the United
States
States of America,
and to the
and to the
republic
for which it stands,
one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God,
one
and indivisible.
Please bow with me in prayer. Dear Lord, we just thank you for loving us. Thank you for walking with us through all the stages of life, through all the seasons. And we just pray for especially the school, all the schools, colleges that just had invocations for people that are going out to get new jobs, for those seniors that are graduating and getting close to starting their next chapter. So as we start seeing the changes in the season, not only in the weather, but also in people's lives, just to continue to guide and direct our paths. Guide our deliberations this evening. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right. So we'll call this meeting May 12th to order at 5:33 p.m. A couple of notes. One is Councilmember Stephanie O'Banion is not able to be here with us, but Councilmember Craig Pearson is, and he's participating by video conference from Panama City Beach, Florida. A couple of questions. One is, I assume you can hear us, Craig?
I can hear you loud and clear, David.
All right, and your answer, what we could hear that. So everybody okay with that? All right. So and just for your asking for your permission, if you were to get cut off in the meeting, you allow us to continue to proceed in your absence.
Absolutely, Mayor.
Okay, just checking all the boxes so we could do all this legally. So again, now that we've got that out of the way, the first item on our agenda is public comments. I have one that's signed up to speak on a non-agenda item. I looked at the agenda to see if we had that, and it doesn't look like we do. So Chief Berg is signed up. And if anyone else after Chief Berg comes and addresses, if anyone else wishes to address the council on any item, they may do so after Chief Berg.
Mayor, Council, I just want to take an opportunity to remind you, just to invite you to the Police Appreciation Week. This whole week, we've been just seeing the outpouring of partnership with the city, different businesses and stuff. A lot of people bringing some good treats and stuff over, just really getting a large outpouring of support from schools, students, things like that. It's just really nice to live in a community that really supports their police department. And it's going to culminate on Friday at 9 a.m. at the criminal justice complex there on Huey, 1201 Huey at 9 a.m. They're going to have a memorial service dedicating the memorial there at the sheriff's department. But the interesting thing about that was we were able to track down relatives of Albertus Sweet, who was gunned down in 1881 as a city marshal. And they're going to come in for the ceremony. I talked to two of them, two sisters that work for the Colorado Bureau of Investigations, the state police. And they're going to be in for the memorial. So it's going to give them an opportunity to kind of give a tour of the police department, let them see what Belton's all about. And the other thing is a opportunity to come out and support the police department. We're going to be doing Rucks on Main on May 23rd. We got 2 teams, 14 people participating. It's where we carry 40 pounds of non-perishable foods for about 6 miles. And then we donate it to charity at the end of it. So if you get a chance to come out and see that, that's going to be at 9 a.m. at Santa Fe and Temple. So appreciate you.
Thank you, Chief. Right. Anyone else wish to address the council? I will do a public comment. We'll keep it short. Gentleman to my left, to your right, lost his father yesterday morning early. Former Mayor Bill Holmes was a big personality. Everybody that interacted with Bill probably never forgot Bill, and Bill did a lot of good things for this community, a lot of good things in this world, and he served well. And so we mourn his loss. For those who don't know, the strategic planning that we're still doing today started with him. The fact that Sitcog is on Main Street is because of him. There are a lot of things that he has done in his life that will have a legacy beyond him. And I think we all aspire to do something similar in our lives. So again, sorry for your loss, John. I know that that's hard. And so we're praying for your family as you deal with that. So That being that, on public comments, we will move on to a presentation of the council pay for May 2025 to May 2026.
Well,
The
that's.
floor is yours.
Hello.
I'm sorry.
It's like, catch my breath, a little emotional. Okay, so each year the council works really hard and we're very appreciative of it. And so we love to give you your $1 that you get per year. So you each get $1 for all that you do. So we folded that buck into something special for you. Not a yacht, not a raise, not a fancy limo, just an origami duck and a council memo. Because around this room, through thick and through thin, you help keep our ducks all lined up to win. Budgets and meetings and motions and votes, master plans, surveys, and endless quick notes. So here's your duck, made from your famous $1, a symbol of teamwork, persistence, and luck. May your ducks stay in a row, your meetings stay short, and may no one say table it as a favorite sport. Thank you so much for what y'all do. You're very much appreciated.
Thank you very much, Amy. I think before you, I think we got a jar of 100 pennies, I think was one. And then, but you started doing the origami and I've not spent any of those dollars. They're all in the same place. So I appreciate all the effort that you've done to put that effort into that. So.
Craig, we used yours to buy a stamp. And so you'll get the 23 cents in the mail.
Thank you.
All right. Item 4 is administering the oath of office to the newly elected council members. You may not realize, but we did elect 2 council members. They ran unopposed, so they stand elected. And so I will let Mr. Messer. Okay. All right. So Amy.
Y'all will stand. Raise your right hand. Repeat after me where I say my name, you say your name. I, Amy Casey, do solemnly swear or affirm
Do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the duties
that I will faithfully execute the duties
of the office of council member
of the office of council member
of the state of Texas
of the state of Texas
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
protect and defend
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the Constitution and laws of the United States
and of this state.
and of this state.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, guys, in 3 more years. So fun till the daddy takes the T-bird away. All right. Item 5 is reorganizing of the city council. Again, for those that are present, we select the mayor and the mayor pro tem as members of the council. We are not directly elected. We did that for a season where we directly elected mayor and then the mayor pro tem was selected amongst sitting council members. But we found that no one was running opposed. It seemed like if somebody was going to sign up to be mayor, nobody opposed them. So we now elect that. So while we may serve 3-year terms, our service as mayor or mayor pro tem is only each year. So when we get the little lucky ducky, then we get to reorganize. And so what we'll do is I'll solicit nominations for mayor, and since I'm sitting mayor, I'll solicit nominations for mayor and mayor pro tem. If for whatever reason I'm unseated as mayor, we'll wait and let that person continue on item 6. So I'll just go just in case. Also what we'll do is if there's more than one nomination, we'll take all the nominations and then we'll vote on them individually. You cannot vote on more than one. So if you nominate 2 and you want to vote for both of them because you like them both, you can't do that. You can pick one or the other. All right. So the first one is I will open the floor for nominations for mayor.
David, I would have to say that I make a motion to nominate David K. Lee as mayor for another year. You've led us through a lot this last year, a lot of challenges that we're still currently facing, and I don't think I'm ready to give that up yet. So,
Second. Thank you. We have a motion and a second to nominate myself. Any other nominations? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. Passes unanimously. All right. Well, I get to do item B and 6 through the end. So
Steve, we all really do appreciate your service. I've always said that mayor, if you're sitting up here, is the short straw or the black bean, because of the amount of time that you put into it. And you have not shied away from that at all, especially with the I-35 issues that we're dealing with, and just you've done an amazing job. And I truly, truly appreciate that you're willing to do it again. So thank you for your service. Our community is in debt to you.
I really appreciate that. We've had some discussions about leadership and stuff, and I think it's important for, and a good friend of mine, Paul Sandiford, served both on the school board and on the council, and he said we don't really need term limits because anyone who's running can limit their term. And so I will say I'm not going to be a perpetual mayor. This may very well be my last term unless providentially influenced. So I'm gonna enjoy doing it at least one more year. And so if it's influenced, well, then it is what it is. All right. Item B is select Mayor Pro Tem for 1 year term. The chair would entertain motion for the Mayor Pro Tem.
I would like to nominate John Holmes for Mayor Pro Tem.
I'll second. We have a motion and a second for John Holmes. Any other nominations? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, passes unanimously. All right, congratulations.
Thank you all.
And
Appreciate
again,
what you do, John. You're I think you've got a unique way of looking at budget stuff and EDC stuff specifically. I think those are maybe two areas where you shine above the rest. And so I think that your service is very valuable and appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
I look forward to serving with all of you guys one more year. And as we take another trip around the sun, maybe we'll have somebody on the moon next time. So, all right. Item 6 is a presentation from the Youth Advisory Commission, the end of year report. I have in my notes that Anahita Malhotra, and then Jasmine Vong will be presenting this item. And if you don't mind letting us know not only your name, what school affiliation, and if you plan on going to school next year, if you're leaving high school, going on to college, we'd love to know a little bit about you guys. So.
Yeah, of course. So good evening, everyone. My name is Anahita Malhotra. I'm the board chair. I'm graduating from Belton High School this year, and I'm headed to UT Austin. Yeah.
Awesome.
My name is Jasmine Vong. Good evening. I'm graduating from Lake Belton High School this year as class president, and I'm headed to A&M College Station.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go for it.
Good evening. I'm Josh Hogue. I'm a junior at Belton High School, and I'm just a committee member of YC, so I'm a little bit just here for moral support.
We all need more.
We all need
support.
those.
All need that. All right.
So this was our YAC board member swearing in. Both me and Anata are on there. It was the first thing we did this year.
Then we had our basic leadership training to start off the semester, basically, just to learn more about what we're going to be doing in the fall, and then also just define some goals.
This was our visit to the Belton Police Department range. We got to learn a lot about public safety and what our police officers do for us. We also got to play around with drunk driving goggles and learn to never do that, and it was a lot of fun.
Then we had one of our other main events, and it was the Christmas on the Chisholm Trail, where we had a popcorn fundraiser. We raised around $200 from that. We were Santa's elves, and it was a lot of fun just interacting with community members that way.
This was our City of Belton workshop job night. We got to hear a lot from community members and people in different roles, and then we also got to kind of try and play around with what it would mean to be in those roles. There were some as like mayor and like firefighter. It's fun.
Then we had our trivia night at the Belton Senior Activity Center. We just really got to interact with a lot of more community members. It was such a fun time to just play trivia with people and hear some really interesting stories.
This was our YAC summit at Cedar Hill, Texas. It's best like school or organization trip I've ever had. I think it was so much fun. We got to connect with youth advisor commissions from across the state, meet a lot of other people interested in youth advocacy and outreach like we are, and just overall connect with more community members, go to meetings and learn about what it is to be a leader.
Then we had our actual main event, which is One Community, One Day. And we got to help 13 houses, 13 families just clean up their houses. We had so many volunteers, and it was a really fulfilling activity because we got to see the impact we were making directly. And, oh, okay.
I heard that meal was pretty good too.
Yeah, that was
Shout out, shout out to Mayor Pro Tem Holmes for slinging hot dogs and hamburgers.
Appreciation cookout
was right after.
we had council members join us for that.
Yes.
And we got to have some nice food with everyone that volunteered. And then we also have some impact overview for you. We had 780 hours volunteered this year with everyone. We had $200 raised from popcorn fundraiser, 13 houses served during One Community, One Day, 18 meetings and programs attended, and 8 of us went to the Yak Summit. And yes, so we also want to take a moment to thank y'all for this opportunity, because I know I will carry whatever I learned in my leadership role with me in college, and just all of the things I learned, including how to run a meeting. That was crazy, but just all of that knowledge, I'll be taking that with me to college.
I also want to thank y'all for the same thing. It has been such a blessing being a part of the Youth Advisor Commission. I got to meet people that I wouldn't have met otherwise. It's brought me great friends and great people that I know will continue on as leaders in the future with myself.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
I'll say, as a Parks Board to Council, I'd like to say thank you to you guys. You guys are truly an inspiration. I've heard weirdly today, all these legacy projects and Mayor Holmes and Covington's Creek and all the things. And this is Marion Grayson's pet project. And so you guys have done a tremendous job, and you guys are building your legacy through this. And so I want you guys to make sure you keep going. This is something new. And I read a quote, the self-governed is also the self-involved. So stay involved, so we go, be plugged in, and be a part of it. So thank you.
Good luck in Aggie Land and in Austin.
Make sure.
Yeah. Thank you all.
All right. There's that presentation. All right. Number 7 is receive a presentation from the leadership Belton and consider authorizing a proposed mural at the Lena Armstrong Public Library. Ms. Hairston.
Yes, thank you. That was a tough act to follow. I taught a couple of those students, so I can attest that the character is strong with them. So that was great. Tonight with me, I have members of our Leadership Belton group. So I would ask them to join at the podium for questions after. We've got John and Bob and Yolanda and Danny and Adam. Sorry. Late, not late, but he wasn't in the room when I was introducing everyone. All right, so we have an exciting project to present tonight for a mural on the library. This is a Leadership Belton community project. They have successfully met their fundraising goal for no cost to the city for this project. They have commissioned Laced and Found for the mural design and installation. And they're also in the midst of planning a community celebration, tentatively scheduled during the painting on May 28th. So that'll be a nice community day. School will be out, anticipating that will be a fun art experience for the families. As you know, we have an existing library mural also installed by Laced and Found and designed by Laced and Found. So that is on the wall of the library in the playground that faces Penelope. And then here is our proposed mural location. This is a large wall, high volume parking lot. So a great opportunity for this project. And this faces Wall Street, kind of the east side. So without further ado, here is our proposed mural art. And we'll go back to this slide in just a moment if we want to, take a closer look. But my recommended action tonight is the approval of the proposed art concept for the library mural project with any refinements to be coordinated by staff and leadership Belton. And then I, of course, have them on hand for any detailed questions that I can't answer for you.
Well, I guess we'll let you have the floor for a second to kind of just tell us about your team and the process. And I don't want to limit you to 3 minutes, but at 20 minutes, we might get irritated. So.
No pressure.
I think we can definitely facilitate that timeline. My name is Bob Massey, for those that I don't know on the panel up there, and then the rest of the team here. We'll kind of do some quick introductions here as well, but I'll just kind of shape the idea and the theory behind what we have here. So obviously everybody's familiar with what the Leadership Belton program does through the Chamber of Commerce. And so when we kind of came together, we wanted to kind of get something that we felt represented the community appropriately. So we've got people who've been here their entire life to me, where the military brought me here, and this is now going to be our home because of the amazing community we have found. So we wanted to be able to represent that accurately in the best way possible. And so this, through our design and theory and working with the artists, is what we've come to. But here's, I think, the big takeaway when you look at this. Each one of these things has a direct reflection of what we considered is vital to the community and what we think is a great representation of what goes on to what's here. Each one of us, kind of, this is design after theory and refinement and things like that, just like any other process that would be out there. But when we came here, we kept it quiet on purpose in the beginning, just to make sure that we had an idea of where we wanted to go. And then as we started to socialize this with other members of the community and Amanda and her team, we really started to kind of dial in what we had here. We wanted to make sure that we were offering the artist, Jay, enough creative rope to do what he wanted to go do. And obviously he's done some amazing work in the town. But one of the main reasons we chose him is because he's just got such a great representation and idea of what goes on here. Now each one of us kind of had a contribution of, what we wanted to see in here. And I will use the students that were just up here. The way that we really kind of view this mural, one is that blank space on the eastern wall. That's going to be great. It is a representation of those young leaders, whether it is them or the next generation that's coming up, to kind of reflect on what makes this place so great. And you can see what's on there. I mean, there's some icons up there, and there's some things that I think that really kind of tie this community together and make it special for us all. That's the theory and the design process behind what we were doing. So I'll pause. I mean, I'll turn to the team if there's anything else that you kind of want to hop on there. Okay. I think then we'll pause and would be happy to answer any questions that you have. Any questions?
I think it looks great. The blue in Belton just feels a bit off, but I recognize it's a Texas flag, so we'll roll with the Texas flag. But so
I think you'll do an amazing job on it. Look really nice on the library.
Excellent.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
And just some numbers on this whole thing. Over $26,000 is what we're able to raise. And I think that that's a direct reflection of the community. When we kind of came out and went to go socialize this kind of thing. Now, I don't want to quote numbers and statistics yet, but I think that may be the highest fundraising event that any Leadership Belton team has done. Trying to bury those numbers.
Yeah.
But we're really proud of this. And I think it's a great reflection of what we're going on. So I'll kind of conclude with this, but the support and patience and just working with Amanda has been fantastic. When you look at these people that we are working with, because it can be hard, and I know that all this, you get too many chefs in the kitchen, this is going to get to be kind of challenging. But I think we have something that's really special and represents the community the right way. So yeah, I'm hopefully looking forward. We get this up there and get it started pretty quick.
Thanks all of you for helping.
You got. Thank y'all so much.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
I'll second.
We have a motion, a second, to authorize the proposed mural on the Lena Armstrong Public Library. Any other comments before we move? I guess the other comment I would say is, I don't know when the Coca-Cola mural was painted there on Main Street and was it Central, Main and Central? It's been there a long time. And it's one of those and same as the mural when I remember as a child when they painted on the on the spillway at the Lake Belton, and it's still there. And so this is one of those that's also a lasting legacy. So once it's painted, it's going to be there a really long time. So it's great, not only just fundraising, but that you're making a longer impact.
Well, one quick comment on that too. Like what this is done. Luckily, we have the top branding guy at Central.
Yeah.
Great.
But this will evolve into, a scavenger hunt that we'll be able to kind of go through there. So it'll be something through the website. So the Belton Mural website will now evolve into something else. So bring in community, bring in people coming up and down Central Texas. Like now it's an opportunity to go find the Coca-Cola mural or go look at Auto and things like that throughout there. So we continue to make this a lasting thing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we have a motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, it passes unanimously. All right, next item on our agenda is our consent agenda, which is items 8 through 10. I will read those and then we can enact those by a single motion. I know I'm going to get one name wrong, so you'll have to correct me here in just a little bit. So first item is approving the minutes of previous meetings for the April 28th council workshop and the April 28th council meeting. Item 9 is approving the appointments to the Ethics Commission, which is Amanda Johnson, Nicholas Raybroker, Mike Ratliff, Brooke Morrow, Kim Preston, Jude Austin, and Luke, yours,
John Glansman.
Glansman. Yeah, that was not written correctly in my. Item B is the Planning and Zoning Commission members being Ty Taggart, Brandon Skaggs, Damon Gottschalk, Alton McCallum, and Lisa Campreth. Item C is the Public Health District Board, which is Denisha Booker. There is a connection with Mr. Daniel up here. And item D is TERS Board. Dave Covington will be taking over for Councilmember Stephanie Covington. O'Banion. Sorry, I'm sitting there looking at Covington and saying Stephanie. So Dave Covington take over for Stephanie O'Banion. And item E is the Hill Country Transit Board, Daniel Booker, taking over for Stephanie O'Banion. So Chair would entertain him. Oh, no, wait, I'm sorry. I'm now camboozled. So
Mayor,
item.
can I make a comment real quick?
Yes, you may.
On the planning and zoning,
Yep.
noting that those appointments are only through April 30th of 2027.
Okay, through April 30th, 2027.
Just starting them on that cycle.
Yes, sir.
Oh, perfect.
And item 10, again, part of the consent agenda is amending and adopting the following BEDC bylaws and policies. Item A is amendment of the BEDC bylaws. Item B is amendment to the BEDC travel policy. And item C is adopting a BEDC fiscal operations policy. Anyone wish to remove one of these for separate consideration?
I'd like to remove number 10 for separate.
All right, we will remove item 10.
I move we approve 8 and 9 as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve 8 and 9. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, item 10, since I've already read it, Miss Cynthia, I don't know. I don't think we'll read all of these. Do you have anything specific as far as?
There were 2 that I was concerned about getting taken out, and I did speak to Miss O'Banion about them. I mean, Miss O'Banion, Mr. Hernandez about them. There was one that got taken out that said an attorney shall review any and all contracts of the board which exceed $2,500. I thought that was kind of important to set some kind of number there as opposed to just removing the whole thing because, if it's $20 million, of course
There is a limit. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Me too. Okay, and so that is correct. Early on, you had expressed concern about that being removed from the bylaws. And so one of the things as we evaluated the bylaws to amend it and update it, really the goal was to keep it high level so that the bylaws wouldn't need to continually be updated. But what we've done to address your concern and to really provide some consistency within the city staff, as there's turnover over the years, the board, we have created this BEDC fiscal operations policy. And so in there, we really get into the weeds about what's the different threshold that staff can approve, that an attorney has to review, that the board has to approve. And so we do have in our fiscal policy that anything above $5,000, our attorney has to review that. So all three items are being recommended for approval today, but understanding that the details of how the funds are spent and approved by all parties is also happening at the same time as the bylaw revisions.
The other one we spoke about was where it said that council would receive updates for things over 55,000 on a regular basis.
So a couple of things. One, we did the council approval consistent with the city's policies. So I think now the legislature requires that expenditures over 100,000 have to go to council. And so the council approves the EDC budget as part of the city process. So you'll have an idea of all of our expenditures, but anything above 100,000 will have to come to city council, as well as incentives and real estate transactions. However, the council has the ability to request update or presentation from the EDC at any time, and the bylaws speak to that.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Look, that's a good question, but what had happened was we were remodeling a bathroom or something, and a can of paint had to come to the board. And, I mean, we were just approving little piddly stuff after stuff after stuff. So I'm the one that made the motion.
Yeah.
Can we amend this and let the executive director and the chairman be able to make some financial decisions under a certain dollar amount?
Yeah.
And it just
absolutely.
made the BEDC so much more efficient and board meetings much more efficient as well. And so good interest, but boy, we really did try to cover every base and be able to function without having to come to board every time.
Yeah, that's great. Appreciate y'all doing that.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, Chair would entertain a motion on item 10.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve 10 with the 2 amendments and 1 policy. Any other comments or questions before we vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, passes unanimously. Moving along, item 11 is historic preservation. Consider an appeal regarding certificate of appropriateness to demolish a contributing building at 516 East 6th Avenue in the North Central Belton Historic District located east of Beale Street and west of Waco Road on the north side of 6th Avenue. Ms. Tina.
Mayor, I'm recusing myself from this item.
Okay.
Oh, good. Okay, thank you. I apologize, Mr. Mayor. The applicant has requested that this item be postponed to a future meeting. This is currently under a real estate transaction. She has found a buyer for the property. The buyer wants to have time to evaluate the building to see if they could make the necessary repairs. If not, he'll come back to the council and ask for the appeal. They close on June 23rd.
All right. Motion to postpone to a future meeting.
Move we postpone.
Second.
Motion and a second to postpone item 11 to a future meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, passes unanimously.
Still recused.
You're still, okay, yeah, with 1. Do we, yeah, okay, we'll get the, all right. We have to fill out forms when we do that. Item 12 is consider an appeal regarding a certificate of appropriateness application to remove 1 of 4 chimneys at 503 North Wall Street at the northeast corner of North Wall Street and East 5th Street. Ms. Tina.
And thank you, Mr. Mayor. This property is currently operated by the Presley Design Studios. It was converted from residential to a commercial property a couple of years ago. This is a National Registered Historic Place. It was constructed in 1913 as the T. Hamp Birdwell House. It is described as a 1.5-story building framed with 4 square plan bungalow classic revival with Prairie School influence. The register notes that there are 3 stacked chimney, but this is a 4th chimney that is on there. So I'm not sure if it just was not visible from the primary facade, the front, but it is visible from the secondary facade, which is east, I want to say Fifth Avenue. East Fifth Avenue. For the Secretary of Interior Standards, they defined chimneys as a feature that's on the roof that's a character defining decorative part of an overall character, historic character of the building. It recommends replacement or of these type of structure. So looking at that, the Historic Preservation Commission thought the chimney should be retained. The historic material that also made up the chimney should be retained. They were looking for a reconstruction based on the size, shape, color, pattern, and texture of the chimney that is currently there. The Historic Preservation Commission heard this meet at their March meeting and again recommended disapproval of the certificate of appropriateness, but would like to see the chimney reconstructed to its current height, to a height that might be different from the historic height, but to also see that reconstruction of the chimney to occur. Staff concurs with that recommendation. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you guys have. The applicant is also here to express their appeal for this property.
Since you both signed up for this for public comments and we've postponed that to later in the meeting, the challenge with public comments and also with when we open the floor for comments is a lot of times it becomes an exchange. And so I just want to let you know that it gets confusing. So you guys both have, both Robert and Heather can go in whichever order. You have 3 minutes, state your name and address for the record and we can enter in. And yeah, you can go right here to the, sorry, it's.
I wanted someone else to go in front of me. I didn't want it to postpone, so I knew what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
So my question is, it's not a functioning chimney. And I understand that it can be seen from an angle back behind in the corner, but you can't really see. I'm Heather Presley, sorry.
Yes.
I missed that part.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to see and we are getting rodents in there. Apparently it was brought up that there's birds that could be nesting in there that are protected. We don't have that in that particular chimney. We have rodents who can loose into the house. And so for us, it's a safety issue as well. So we would like to be able to cap that one off just because it's unseen. We have a handicap ramp that's much more of an eyesore than taking a chimney away that people aren't really going to be able to see from that back corner. So that's my request, is that you guys reconsider that for us. And I brought my contractor too as well. If you have any questions for him.
Right. Mr. Robert, name and address for the record.
Robert Brisbane, 5919 Cedar Creek Road, Temple, Texas, 76504. I get it that I do some of this in Temple, and I get that, like, the recommendations, you're setting precedent if you're starting to vote opposite of that. I understand, you're going to make your decision based on that. I think you were seeking if there are grants available for it. I've given an estimate for it, and I think my estimate is based upon worst case scenario, and possibly in a previous meeting, there were brought up that there were chimney swifts living in the chimney and that they were federally protected. I think we kind of hashed that out in the Historic Preservation Board. Possibly that we would start October, November after some sort of nesting season. And mostly this was just in an effort.
Yeah.
Well, it was just in an effort to appease everybody,
Yeah.
right? Build it back like it was. I understood that was what they had voted for. And then mostly it would be just October, November timelines when that would occur to not disturb our birds.
Yeah.
But the estimate was a $10,000 estimate. So that's kind of hard when it's not functioning. I mean, we have it sealed off. It's not something that it just feels like bad steward of even if it is grant money, it's bad steward of tax money if we do it that way. So, but that's just a big haul for something that we won't be able to use, or it's just a little stack in the back that you can't see. So
Understood. All right, thank you. Thank you both. Any questions?
Do you mind going back to what it says needs to be maintained for a chimney? The definition.
There's no. Got it. So sorry.
So maybe it was another slide back where where you were saying what it says needs to be maintained based on historic character or something.
Right, so here it is. It says an identified chimney as decorative, character defining features that are important in defining the overall historic character of a building.
All right, the character defining features. I'll be honest with you, in my mind, if there's 4 chimneys and it goes down to 3 and you can't really see it from the main view of it, I don't really see that as character defining. And so I'd be just fine if, they do what's best for the house with it.
I'd probably reiterate the same. I don't know that like a historic record would say there's 4 characteristic or character defining chimneys. I did have a question to the recommendation. It said tear to remove or rebuild. Is there an option? I wasn't sure if the applicant was willing to rebuild. I don't know the ins and outs of that, but I did also want to make a comment to while the appeal process and the process of HPC is, sometimes a bit, there is the appeal process, and we ask our committees to do the black and white, and I appreciate the work they do, and no matter what happens at this level, but that way the elected officials get to make final calls. But appreciate you guys coming to speak your piece and everything. And so I wasn't sure. So
Okay, so the commission have voted to disapprove the removal of the chimney. They recommended that it be reconstructed to a different height than what was historically there, a lower height, but with the same material.
oh, okay.
I think I'm willing to offer a little more flexibility. And if they have 4 chimneys and the register states 3, it looks a little weak up there on the roof. And if they would take down that 4th chimney and clean that up or fix the roof to look like the rest, I'm good with that. I think that's sensible, reasonable, and we haven't altered the historical record at all.
Still has the same character. The other chimneys look just like it.
Yeah, I would just add that historic preservation is tricky. There's a natural tension whenever we're in a town that's approaching 200 years old. It's we're going to have some old buildings, and it is important, and we've made that important over the decades to preserve the history and the character when we can. And the Historic Preservation Commission's charge is a pretty narrow focus as far as what they should be looking at. From time to time, there needs to kind of be some common sense that we overlay onto that, and I don't think that HPC has the bandwidth to kind of make that decision sometimes, a lot of times, but we do, and I think that there's been times where the cost, specifically the cost associated with maintaining the strictest interpretation of historic preservation is just not reasonable, and I think this is one of those situations. So with that, I would move to grant the appeal regarding the COA to remove this chimney.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to grant the appeal regarding this certificate of appropriateness. Any other comments before vote? I would echo that. I think one of the reasons we have our boards and commissions is that they can look at it strictly for their purview. And so from a historic perspective, if we did not have any enforcement of historic, then we would have no historic. We would but if we had strict enforcement of historic, then we would have no freedom. And there's somewhere in between having a historic district and yet having freedom. And the key is having good partners. Some of those good partners are the ones sitting on the board making tough decisions. Some of the good partners are, I'll use University of Maryland Baylor since they're not in the room. When they redid Curtis Mansion, they spent significant amount of money to restore that home to good. And we were all thankful for it, but none of us helped pay for it. And so it's hard. It's a hard tension. It's a good tension. I'm glad we're having the debate. I'd also say, Robert, my home place is right diagonal from where you live on Cedar Creek Road. So I grew up there's a gambreled house with a grain bin just northwest of where you live. That's my home place. So yeah, just FYI. Country boy.
Not his current home place.
Not my
He
current-
lives in the city limits.
He says-
I'm in the city limits. I do not live on Cedar Creek Road, but I do operate a business. So anyway,
That's what he was voting.
any other comments before we vote?
I hope the other three are in good shape.
Yeah.
Buildings, so it's very important to me to maintain as best I can, but this was a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah.
Greg, any
Fine.
any comments for you? We good? All right, we're good. Okay. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that passes unanimously, the appeal. So I guess we enforce the historic registry of 3.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, item lucky 13, is to conduct a workshop, a work session on the fiscal year budget.
I'd make a motion to table this to later in the meeting.
We have a motion to table it later in the meeting.
What's later? Oh,
Good thing.
second.
All right, all in
That's a
favor
good
of
idea.
tabling this to the end of the meeting, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
got it.
Okay, sorry, Mike. We just figured while we're on the,
Right after
There's a couple small items.
while we're in the flow.
Dave
Dave.
motioned. I seconded.
All right, so sorry, Mike, just, yeah, that's right. It allows it to flow a little bit better. Well, yeah, so. All right, that being tabled, item 14, as we receive a presentation, life safety grant application for electric fire safety improvements for the Beltonian, located at 219 East Central Avenue in the downtown Belton Commercial Historic District, and consider authorizing the Belton Economic Development Corporation to enter into an economic development performance agreement with Central Roots Group, LLC, Series Beltonian. Right.
Thank you
There you
again.
go.
Actually, this is an exciting news prospect for us. This is our first grant that we are doing with the BDC in partnership with for the funding. So this all initiated with a certificate of occupancy permit that the applicant tried to get. The fire marshal and our building inspectors had a list of items that they thought needed to be brought up to code before they allowed occupancy of that building. And one of those was a separation between where the current theater is and a back room area, a rear room area behind the theater. There was also some electrical upgrades. The paneling need to be upgraded. There were some wet areas that needed additional protection that they requested for that to happen. They also requested for automatic air conditioning in the projector room, which gets hot normally. So those were items that were requested. The applicant has started work on one of the items, a fire separation. She immediately went out and got a contractor to get that tackled so she could up the business. But then was told about the grant and halted the project until a week before you to get approval for that. So the estimate for everything that needs to be done is over 14,000. The applicant is asking for a matching grant for 7,147. And again, this is being funded by BDC because it brings about a creation of job. The Beltonian was temporarily closed by the previous owner and it's been purchased by the new owner and applicant. And they plan on being part of the community for quite some time, and they're going to create their being a little hesitant because there's a contract, at least 4 jobs, but she has on her application for 8 job creation at this location. Staff is recommending approval. The board, the BEDC board heard this at their May 5th Cinco de Mayo meeting, and they also recommended approval of this item as well. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
All right. Any questions? Chair would entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve. This is exciting for downtown Belton again to bring it back up. So
Appreciate it.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the life safety grant. Any other comments or questions?
Kofi, I would just like to call you out. I've heard that you've done some good work on this. So way to go. Appreciate your hard work for the city.
All right. Yeah, we all have experience with the Beltonian. Hopefully it's a good one for you guys. So,
Yeah.
all right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, passes unanimously. Item 15 is receive a presentation on building life safety grant application for fire suppression and sprinkler system for the Hell Yeah Belton, Texas restaurant located at 206 East Central Avenue. and the Downtown Belton Commercial Historic District, and consider authorizing the Belton Economic Development Corporation to enter into an economic development performance agreement with Hell Yeah Restaurant. Sorry, that my mom would be mortified that I at this at this meeting in public. All right, Miss Tina.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, interesting name for a restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
The applicant is providing a fire suppression and sprinkler system. There is an existing sprinkler system in the level 3 building that he owns next door. There's a riser room in there as well, so they're just expanding on to the current system to this property to provide fire suppression and sprinkler here. Again, this project has been under construction for almost a year. They have started, but our building department has been working with them throughout this whole process. We reviewed the plans for this. Everything's been approved and they're actually almost ready for a certificate of occupancy, which is scheduled for the 14th. Yeah.
You're gonna do the ribbon cutting.
So she can see the name in person, realize you're not just saying it because it's fun to say. The applicant estimate the project is going to be around 32,000 and the matching grant is $16,016. Again, this is funded by BDC because there's a job creation. The applicant, again, we put down a reserve number of 30 jobs, but the applicant estimate is going to be over 40 jobs that's created at the site. That includes the management, the cooks, the bartenders, the wait staff, all of that is needed in this area. So the Belton BDC board met on this on the 5th of May and recommended approval of this item, and staff concurs with that decision. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
I love these grants. Now, this is awesome parts of the meeting. Two of these back to back, historic movie theater, and then hell yeah. So I make a motion to approve the agenda item as presented. I think we all should say it once. So
Hell yeah. I'll give it a second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve it. I will say while the picture's still up there,
there used to be an alley, right?
No, the 3 stories alley. So this was actually, they tore down the facade and they rebuilt it really close to the look and feel of what it used to be. So again, they did a good job of maintaining some of the towing of that brick in the round anyway, you'll see it if you get.
This was an appeal.
This is
yeah.
This is a good partner.
Yeah, this is a good one.
All right. So
and I will say, like you said, I love these grants. It's, when I was working on some buildings, we didn't have these, and there was one historic building downtown that we were going to buy, but because of asbestos, it was going to cost another $85,000, and so we didn't buy it. And I really kind of lobbied to get help for the developers and builders, and I think this is a great program, and so I'm glad we're able to do that to help y'all out.
Well, it's echoing back to the previous conversation. This is a good public-private partnership to help renovate and maintain old buildings, which are expensive, and we have a public need to have. I think it's a good thing. So I will say, for one last parting shot to Mom's opinion, all in favor of approving this, say hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Say hell no.
What's Craig got?
I said hell yeah.
He mouthed it. Hey, he's Army. Lord couldn't hear.
Yeah.
All right. We'll make sure the minutes reflect accurately for my pastor.
Good job again, Cody.
Oh my goodness. I couldn't resist. All right. Yeah. And be careful what you name your restaurant. I might not be able to say all of them. All right. Item 16 is consider authorizing the Belton Economic Development Corporation to enter into an economic development agreement with Beltec Industries. Miss Cynthia. We see Mr. Beltec out here. Nice of you to join us, Dave. No, she might call you up here in a minute. So we'll start with Cynthia.
Thank you. All right. Well, another EDC contract. So thank you. Let me just start. Let me see where I'm at. Okay, glasses. All right. Okay, I'm supposed to start with good evening, Mayor and council members. Thank you for letting me speak on this item. And so we'll talk about Beltec Industries. First, I want to say before I launch into this that I love that you all love the previous two items. That keeps our downtown vibrant, and that's important for our industry as we're looking at talent retention and attraction. And so we're excited to be a partner in that. And now I'm excited to talk about what Beltec is doing in our community. And so as many of you know, Beltec was established in 1988. They've been in our community for a long time. I've been in our community for a long time, and I remember when I first started doing our existing industry visits, I would go visit with David Jones, and he would give us a tour. And his father, Clyde, would be there picking up the mail or finding things to stay busy with at the plant. And today, when I go visit Beltec and tour with David Jones, his children are there running the operation as well. And so it's been fun working with the different generations. And Beltec has grown and expanded in Belton several times. So it's a family-owned business. They manufacture hydraulic augers and post hole diggers and drilling equipment. And they now are in a position where they need to expand their facility and their operation. Currently, they're operating out of a 32,000 square foot facility, and they employ 34 people out of Belton. They have employees across the US and outside, but in Belton, they have 34 employees. So today they are looking at adding 34,000 plus square feet to their existing facility. They are planning to do a $10 million investment. So about 4 million of that will be in real estate and in real property. And the remaining 6 million is for equipment, machinery, and in their additional items for the expansion of the facility. And so let's see, they are going to, in addition to adding the equipment, they're also expanding their operations. So they're going to add a significant addition. It's a paint line, a powder coating line. Thank you. I'm trying to say this without looking at my notes and I'm struggling. So let me go back to my notes. They are also adding office equipment, welding equipment, and so and they're adding 5 new jobs. And like the other applicants, it is likely that Beltec will add more than 5 jobs, but we always encourage our applicants to be conservative in their estimates because we tend to streamline our processes and we never know what's going to happen. And we want our applicants to be successful in receiving assistance from the EDC. So this is the Beltec facility on Commerce Street. And I've illustrated where the building expansion is going to occur. Please know that that is not to scale. That was Cynthia just drawing on my computer screen. But it just gives you an idea of where the expansion is going to occur on their site. And so a few renderings of what that expansion looks like. So if you're in their driveway, that's what you'll see going on to the Beltec property. This will be the front of their building, and then we'll just zoom in and let you see the entrance of their facility. So a great looking facility, and we're excited about their investment in Belton. So Tina talked about our May 5th board meeting. We were really busy and had a lot of items. And so at that meeting also, the board considered a development agreement with Beltec Industries. And so the agreement outlines Beltec's commitment to complete a 34,810 square foot facility expansion. It's a minimum cost of $4 million. And then the installation of new equipment and machinery estimated at $6 million. They commit to creating 5 jobs and maintaining their existing 34 jobs. And then as part of this agreement, we've also negotiated with Beltec that they would not apply for the city and the county tax abatements. And I'll talk about our investment in Beltec in lieu of the city's tax abatement program. It's a great program and we appreciate the partnership with the city. But in this situation, if EDC can help offset some of those costs, it's an immediate benefit to the taxing entities once their facility is completed. And so upon Beltec's commitments, BEDC will will invest in Beltec in 2 installments, I will say. So once they complete the shell of the building, EDC will pay $150,000, and this is going to help offset the cost of site improvements. And once they receive their certificate of occupancy, BEDC will pay out $500,000 for the remaining balance of the assistance that the EDC is going to grant. So let's talk about a little bit about the EDC's investment in our business retention and expansion project. So this facilitates a $10 million investment in Belton. It's going to facilitate the creation, and they will maintain 39 total full-time jobs. Also, instead of the tax abatements, BEDC is offsetting that with the incentive. And this is an immediate benefit to the taxing entities. And so I've scribbled on there for you what that tax abatement would have looked like for the city of Belton over a 5-year period. And for the city of Belton alone, that would have been $261,250 estimated. So for 100% tax abatement over 5 years. As you know, when the EDC offers incentives, we run it through a model. We try to determine what the economic impact is to our community. And we do this in a form where we're measuring what's the economic impact. This is an investment, and what's our rate of return? What's the payback period? And it helps us measure how we're assisting projects over time, but it ensures that the community is seeing a rate of return on the investment that we're making with the taxpayers' dollars. And so this project yields 11.5% rate of return. The payback period is an 8-year payback period. It's a little greater, a little longer than most of our projects. But again, this model is a little different because we're paying a little bit more instead of them applying for the city's tax abatement program. And I guess just to wrap it up, the EDC Board of Directors approved the agreement on May 5th, and we're asking for the council's consideration in approving the agreement as well. Happy to answer any questions, and David Jones is here also if you have any questions for him.
Any comments or questions from council? If not, the chair would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve. Just like the last 2 grants, it's not a grant, but I guess it's a grant of sorts. But
investment in our company.
Yes, exactly. If anybody's doing the math, y'all been around as long as I've been alive. So for the young ones up here, we Cynthia, your drawing was also better than a dog park. So I make a motion to approve.
I second. I appreciate the Jones family and their longtime investment in the city of Belton, and glad y'all are sticking around for more.
Absolutely.
I couldn't agree more. David, in your family, back in the day when it was what was it on 6? Was it Continental Belton? What was the original? Continental Belton.
Moved down from Iowa.
Yeah.
Right after World War II.
That's right. My aunt worked for them for a good while. So it's great that you guys, and this is another example, we've already said it tonight, but it's just in this meeting, public-private partnership, things that we're doing. And for those who don't really understand how all these taxes work, we get BEDC funds we get from sales tax that we're able to use to invest back into our community, primarily to help generate jobs and to support jobs. And so they help do infrastructure and as well as directly to help support those jobs. So they do pay back. What's great is sometimes we get people from outside our community. We use that to bring them in. We've found that we're much more successful working with our own homegrown businesses. We've always been good at homegrown, and you're examples of that. The other thing is not only so by bypassing the abatements, the abatements by the county and the city would have gone into the TERS. 100% of those monies would have gone into the TERS. By having an abatement, we would not have that money in the TERS. And so if we were to abate that, even though they improved in the TERS, we wouldn't have that. By BEDC stepping in, it's allowing that additional money to go back into the TERS, which helps invest in things like the Beltonian and the restaurant that I've already said too many times. But also in a lot of the historic areas and some infrastructure. So it's a really good way of kind of commingling our revenue sources to do the best for the city. So again, thanks for partnering with us on that. And any other comments before we vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. Since this is the only item on the table, I'll just go ahead and just pull it off the table instead of asking you guys for a motion for that. So we will pick up item 13 off the table and conduct a work session on fiscal year 2027 budget considerations, including but not limited to the following funds: the general fund and the debt service fund. Save the best for last.
Mike, we had a table one, and he said it in the presentation, so.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you're having fun because I'm coming to take your T-bird away.
Get out my dollar back.
Yeah, you set me up for that.
You've
one.
had an hour to think about that.
Okay. Okay, so let's get started. So here we are. This is not the official beginning of the budget season for these guys, but it's the official kickoff for the budget season for you. Departments head have submitted their budgets to the city manager. We've reviewed those things, kind of put them together, and bringing to you tonight kind of the first discussion on the general fund and the debt service fund. I usually call this the proposed budget, but with what you're going to see, this is really more of a preliminary discussion. I think this is the first of many discussions that we're going to have going forward. So before we start looking at FY27, I'd like to show you where I'm thinking we're going to end for FY26. We plan for FY26 to draw down reserves by 150,000 to just over $8.1 million. Where it looks like we're landing is, instead of using $150,000 of reserves, we might use $450,000. The reason for that is property tax revenue, of all things. I'm forecasting us to be like $550,000 short of property tax, current year property tax collections for FY26. Of course, the way that works is people are probably paying a little later. You'll eventually get it as delinquent taxes and interest and those kind of things. But if that happens, our reserves would end up at 7.8 million. And what I want to kind of point out there is that we're right at the top of our 30% reserve policy. Our reserve policy says that we'll maintain 30% of budgeted expenditures, and we might be at 30.8 if all that just happens. So moving on. Now let's start looking at 2027. I'm doing this a little bit backwards than normal. Hardly for the conversation.
Back up one more time.
Yeah.
So on this number, okay. I just wanted to make sure we're talking about not the budget next year. We're talking about real. We're going to be drawing down an additional 300,000.
That's my estimate. Yes.
For the year that we're currently.
FY.
I just want to make sure
by September 30.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that
Yeah,
clarification.
just want to make sure.
And that
We're going to end at our policy.
Yeah.
And that policy is just that. It's just a policy. It's not something mandated by the state. You have to keep, we are choosing that number.
That's correct, sir. Absolutely.
And there are benefits to, I will say, there are benefits to having conservative policies like that. And one of them is we get better bonding, and then getting better bonding, it costs us less to borrow money.
Correct.
And so we can modify policies, but there are usually costs to that.
Correct. That's correct. So I'm starting this year with, in this discussion, as opposed to starting with revenues like I usually do. I wanted to save that fun discussion for later, and so we'll start with expenditures. We have some significant cost drivers for fiscal 27, and some of which we really have no control over. Personnel costs are typical, pay raises for employees, about 250,000 for civil service, 200,000 for non-civil service. A couple of big ones, though, are popping up. The budget that I'm showing you tonight has a projected 15% increase to health insurance premiums, and that increases our expenditures by $150,000 almost. Oh, wait, I have an update for you. This morning, we met with our health insurance consultant, and his number, he's projecting probably at least 25%. So that number would go up by 100,000 when I change it as we go forward.
250,000 additional.
An additional 100,000.
100,000. So
250 over the current year.
Yeah.
Okay. So 600,000.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
It'll be like a $250,000 increase over.
But 600,000 total in our basically ones that we absolutely have no control
of personnel costs. Yeah. That's the primary drivers of personnel cost increase. Bell County Communications does our dispatching. And we got a notice from them that those costs are going to go up by almost $100,000. Our share of those costs that's allocated among all the entities in Bell County. But again, that's not something that we can control. So let's look at where we may be. So this is the chart that you've seen several times. I like this. Yes, sir.
Publicly, I will say this publicly. The cost is prorated to the entities in the county for our local call volume. Because Belton is on Interstate 35 and Interstate 14, we have a significant number of our call volume that is regional in nature, not local in nature. And that is a federal, state, and county burden more than it is a local burden. So we may want to ask the county to reevaluate that proration to make sure that we segregate the regional call volume from the local call volume. Because just because they call you in the city doesn't mean they're a city person. And we understand, like, if they're going to a restaurant, they might have whatever, but we're just talking about like accidents on 35 or a pretty significant call volume.
Great you're saying it, Mayor.
We say, we just will not accept call volumes in the city and the de-annex the interstates and let the county respond to that.
Hey,
and then there's two things we could save money on.
That's okay.
So I'm sorry.
No, appreciate
Please keep going.
So for fiscal 26, our total expenditure budget was $25.5 million. It looks like we're going to come in kind of right on top of that number. For 2027, our expenses increase of almost $1.2 million to $26.7 million. With the big drivers there, again, personnel cost is obviously the largest one you see there. This $308,000 that you see there for services, that's related to our trash collection. Again, these are expenses, and that's you'll see a revenue that goes up as well with that because that's a pass-through kind of cost. So overall, a 4.7% increase to expenditures in FY27.
There's no new employees in that, right?
No, sir. None.
And
help the insurance is in that.
I'm sorry?
Insurance is in that.
The insurance at
675?
15% is in here, not at 25.
So the percentage is the percentage change from the estimate?
From budget to budget.
From budget to budget.
Yeah, this is a
not the
budget to
estimate.
budget comparison.
Gotcha. Okay.
I
just wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
So let me go through then each of our divisions in the general fund so you can get a kind of a feel for the changes for each one of those. Our top division there is City Council. Go team. Your budget's going up about $9,600. The primary reason there are agency contributions. Those agency contributions are these. Essentially, we would, the budget calls for contributing to the same agencies that we have in the past or in 26. The only difference there is this Karst Coalition, which you've heard before. That one's kind of going on pause or away or something. It's going down the way of an anthill. The Hill Country Transit number, I think that I'm showing you here is about $5,000 too high. The Bell County Public Health is about $10,000 too low, but this is what we're showing right now. But overall, about a $5,200 change or so.
Why are we giving money to Belton ISD?
So that is the crossing guard program. So we're kind of calling it a contribution. Well, it is an expense to us, but that money, that's the money from the that we get from Shea Leideke. Yeah. And then we just pass it.
It's registration, it just passed through. It comes to us as revenue, we pass it on to.
Yeah. Exactly.
So while you're on that page, the Hill Country Transit being the top one, they've gone to more of a, I'll say, payer system or an individual system. Are we getting reports to know how many rides in our municipality compared to the overall? So we can look and see, is it costing us $1,000 per ride or 25 cents per ride?
Good question.
We can get that.
I think it would be good, especially if we're starting to tighten our budget. I think we should at least know what the answer is.
He was on the board, ask him.
Hey,
Hey, Daniel, what are you doing spending our?
Hopefully we can work on some budget over there, though, you know. Yeah, we've had recent meetings. They're actually talking about expanding the boundary. They have a little bit more capacity to serve more folks. It doesn't cover the entire city limits right now, just high activity areas, but they're talking about expanding that, but we'll certainly ask about.
Yeah.
The right. They have of more way reports, capacity. It which sounds like that's on there. is working very well.
Okay, very good. City administration increases $41,500 from FY 26. Personnel costs again are the main contributor there. On the finance side, my group increases 7.3% or $62,000. It's audit and tax appraisal costs that are making that services right there increase that much. HR is increasing as well, almost 11%. Personnel is certainly a part of that, but also we're increasing our cost for legal services by about $25,000 in FY 27. Moving on to municipal court. Municipal court is killing it and decreasing their budget by $4,800. Good news to see there. And then we turn around and see police going up by $294,000.
Write more tickets.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. The big drivers here, again, personnel costs that you're seeing that comparison there, 6.2 versus 6 million. Those again are just the annual step increases every year for the civil service folks, plus pay increases for non-civil service. Bell County Communications falls into that services category. And that's what's driving that up by almost 100,000. The only thing I want to show you here, not that it really matters, is this capital outlay that you see this decrease. All that's in that 150 in 2026 is kind of a number that we had for if we needed to do some kind of major maintenance work at the Miller Heights Public Safety Center. And what we've done is that's really not capital where I have it there. So what we've done is we've decreased that in 27 to 100,000 from 150. And now you're seeing it up here in that 126. So that's why maintenance costs went up by $100,000. I just moved it into a different category. Moving on to fire costs increased by $144,000. Again, mostly personnel that you see in that group. On the streets side, streets is increasing $320,000, 13%. And the biggest driver there, the biggest portion of that cost is our contracted street maintenance. You'll recall that we set aside $1 million a few years now, a couple of 3 years now. We increased to $1 million, and then we told council that we would increase that by 5% every single year. That increase alone in FY 27 is $55,000. That brings our total street maintenance, contracted street maintenance budget up to like $1.1 million, $1.2 million in FY 27. So that's some of that increase you see there. The other larger increase is here in transfers. That transfer increase is due to the $175,000 grant match for the Sparta shared use pad. We're transferring money from the general fund into the grant fund to that one. Bless you. Moving on into parks and recreation. Parks goes down by $85,000. Great job, James. But some of this is also great job me. And that's because I'm doing something here that we'll talk about in a little bit. You may recall a couple of years ago, that we started charging the general fund for water that it consumes for irrigation, mostly at Heritage, which is why it's here in parks. That number for 2027 was going to be about $220,000. Looking at where we are, I am pulling that out of the FY 27 budget for now. Again, this is preliminary discussion. That's this decrease that you see of 541 compared to 728 in 2026. You may remember the Straw in the Leon project that we talked about. We're going to kind of look at that a little closer. But for the sake of where we're headed, I've taken it out of the general fund as it sits now. Okay, development services, Bob's group goes up slightly, 1.2%. Again, mostly personnel, some demo and cleanup. I reduced that a tad as well, about 20,000. I reduced that. Library. So Miss Amanda is going up 9.3%. Health insurance is hitting her just like everything else. Books and building maintenance costs are hitting here. But still good work there at the library. Solid waste is the one I mentioned before. Solid waste is, this whole budget is essentially, other than that personnel, is essentially our contract with waste management. That's going up about $310,000 is my estimate. What happens is you can see in the current year, it looks like we're going to exceed budget. And so I'm increasing that over the FY26 estimate. Fleet maintenance is our last general fund division. Those costs go down 11,000.
Real quick.
Yes.
So our current collection revenue is not in there that offsets that because that's a separate bill. That's not ad valorem tax.
Correct. This you're just looking at expenses.
You're just looking at, yeah. So just while it may be going up, is revenue going up or are we operating in deficit?
No,
Okay. All right, I just want to trying to keep my apples and
Yeah,
apples.
that's good.
In my,
That's
in
good
my
thinking.
brain. So okay.
The idea is that we have a revenue number that directly matches that 2,416,000 in 2027.
Gotcha.
Because essentially we do keep 12% of that revenue as our fee.
Yeah.
But what you're seeing here is truly the cost of collection. We pay that bill to waste management, and then that's collected through the rate. Fleet maintenance, pretty flat there, going down slightly, $11,000. So that's our expenditure budget, preliminary expenditure budget for FY27. So now let's have some fun and look at revenues. How are we going to pay for all of that? Okay. Here's where we are. So what we are not doing tonight is proposing a tax rate. I don't have certified values yet. Those we'll get in July. What we did receive at the end of April from the appraisal district is what they call their certified estimate. Now, you don't know why they use certified, but that's the state law. But it's their estimate of where that certified value might be. So then for the 2026 tax year, which is our FY27, our preliminary values have actually gone down by 2.58%. That equates to $67 million. From their documentation, it looks like we might have about $50 million in new value. So if we had 50 million in new and we went down by 67 million, that means the existing values would have had to have fallen by over $100 million for tax year 26. So here's the way it works now. I can take some of that information. I'm still missing some key components. And so these numbers are not the numbers, but I can play with them and kind of give you a feel for the tax rates based upon the information that I have now. But this is all preliminary. Again, we're not proposing anything. This is what my spreadsheet does. And it shows the no new revenue tax rate is 5632. Our de minimis, which is that $500,000 increase thing, is 5871. And our voter approval tax rate, and this is the one that's adjusted for our unused increment, you'll remember those terms, is 5989. So our current tax rate is 5225, and no new revenue is 5632. Voter approval, 5989. So these are just preliminary.
And so I'll just for illustrate, because this is complicated.
Yes.
Concept. So if I had a home that went up in value in prior years because the appraised went up, and we went down to the no new revenue rate, generally speaking, I would still be paying the same tax bill, but it would be at a higher value at a lower rate. I'm still paying the $8,000 in tax bill. Now, if my value in my house goes down, like what's saying, and we go up on our rate, I'd still be paying the $8,000, but my rate's higher, but my value's lower.
That's correct.
So no new revenue. I'm just trying to make sure I understand it, and so we can all understand it, that what we're doing is no new revenue is we will still be getting the same tax bill, but depending on what your appraisal did, you may see a decrease or an increase based on appraisal. And we're just peanut buttering because we can't go and cherry
That's right.
pick, right?
That's
We
right.
can't say, oh, we're going to tax you more, tax you less because they played with your appraisers, right? And that's generally right. So, okay.
100% correct.
$8,000 bill last year would still be an $8,000 bill this year at the no new revenue rate, assuming everybody was the 2.58%.
Yes, it has to work out just perfectly to be exactly the same.
Literally, I mean,
Again,
of the
this is
two
looking
tax
at the
bill,
entire roll.
we're just one line.
Exactly.
We're just
Yeah.
like, $1,000 of the $7,000 bill. So we're
Yeah.
just, okay.
You are 100% correct on the concept. That's why the old term used to be the effective tax rate, because mathematically that's exactly what that means. The effective, I mean, it's the rate, the effective rate that brings that existing taxpayers pay the same dollar. They went to no new revenue several sessions ago, which does not mean there's no new revenue coming into the city, but that's what they called it. It's essentially that effective rate, just as you explained.
Okay.
Good job, Dave. So we talked about, so what do revenues look like? We talked about expenses already. So here we have a budget in 26 of 25.4 million. I told you it looks like we're coming in a little lower than that, and that's the reason for that. The budget as it sits today in a preliminary level has increases 6.7% in revenues to 27.1 million, an increase of $1.7 million over FY26. Again, this is a budget to budget comparison. And so just to
The
show.
budget to actual would be more than that.
Correct. Correct. And again, because I'm looking at that. Yeah. Sales tax, we're going to talk about in a little bit. Service charges, Mayor, that's your revenue from the solid waste that we were talking about. This decline of 297 that you see just below that is just because it's a change in the way we're accounting for some grant stuff. So don't worry about that one. But obviously the gorilla in the room is this one right here. A 13% increase to the tax levy of 1.3 million. So what does that look like? So first, let me give you some history. So what you see on the bars going up is our tax levy. That's the amount of taxes all that we collect. And we started back here in 2020 at 65.98 in 2020. And in fact, you could take that all the way back to 2013 or some number like that. We held it flat at 65.98 for a very long time. Then in 2021, we reduced the tax rate to 63 and kept it there for a couple of years. And then as values came in very strong, we've lowered our tax rate now to this 52.25 as it sits now for the last couple of years. The tax rate that recovers that number that I'm showing you right there, the 11.2, it's just over 11 million actually in current property tax revenue. The tax rate that gets me there is 59.46. And that's, so, you'd be going up to something like that or a little whatever. Still lower than we were back here not that long ago in 2022, but a significant jump from 2026.
Hey, Mike, for purposes of people in the room, can you draw an illustration line of what most other cities did during this stretch?
I can't draw it specifically, but I can tell you that our neighbors to the north did increase by, I think it was 7 cents or some number last year. I think Belton
Be a pretty flat line generally.
Yeah, I think their rates are kind of doing that. But don't take that to the bank. The next time I showed you this, I'll have that comparison. So
76 now or something.
I'm sorry?
Aren't they at like 76?
I believe so. Something like that, 70 or 70.
70 something.
70 something. Start with a 7. So that's property tax. let me,
Well, I will say that back on this. And so one of the things there's always, again, there's a tension from staff to council on these is staff is going to be much more conservative and really try to hold the line as much as we can on tax rates because it's really hard to go back up as you go down. And council has always been super conservative for the taxpayer to say, well, let's collect as the lowest amount of taxes we can do. And so we've always kind of said, if we can go down, we're going down. And the tension is, but staff is like, yeah, but then you're not going to want to have to go back up. And we've always said, well, if we have to go down, we'll go down. If we have to go up, we'll consider that. So I'm guessing this is we'll have to consider that moment.
yes, sir.
Okay.
Let's look at sales tax a little bit, some charts that you haven't seen probably before. So I get our confidential sales tax report from the comptroller's office. I follow about 200, 220 businesses in our town, well, businesses that remit taxes to us. And that gets me about 75, 78% of our total sales tax revenue from those 220 or so businesses. I then take those businesses and I kind of classify them. This is not official, but it's just kind of where I put them. But I have, touched the wrong button. So I have a construction category. I have a construction category that you see there in red. This is kind of construction related, not just construction itself. I've got lawn care and building supplies and those kind of things in this category. We have retail, which is retail. And then I have a few others. I have utilities, I've got restaurants, I've got things like that. And I kind of lump all that in this chart as an all other. Well, what makes that nice is each of those three categories makes up about a third of our property tax, our sales tax base. So, and so what you can see, this is what I'm showing you here is 12 months, a fiscal year worth of, actually it's 12 months because 26 is not complete. A rolling 12 months of revenue collected from each of these segments. And you can see that since 2025, we've had kind of a downward push on our construction category. Not just horrible, but I'll show you something a little bit, giving me some little hope. But it peaked up in here. Construction really started in 2022 to almost pass retail. And has since trailed after that, since then. These others are kind of starting to flatten a bit, the other two categories. So that kind of gives you just a feel for what our sales tax base looks like. What I want to take you to this one is this chart is I'm looking still for each of these on a rolling 12-month basis and still by those same categories, but I'm looking at individual months here. And so this is April of last year, and March is the last time I got a report, but March of the current year. And look at so this is zero. That line right there is zero. So anything that's this way is a falling 12-month number, month over month, and then everything over here. So what I kind of just jumps out at you is how much that construction category was falling out here. And, not grossly, it's only 3.5% is the max. But what I like to see is this here. All of those categories kind of has in March kind of jumped back into the positive. I don't have the last 2 months worth of data, but it's nice to see that. And I think that's kind of more maybe where we're picking back up. We've kind of hit some of the bottom, hopefully, and kind of moved along. So when I take all of that and put it together and then look at percentage changes, again, I'm showing you real numbers and things. On a percentage change, this line is zero. So anything above that was positive growth. Anything down here below zero was negative growth. But you can see then that kind of hopefully maybe bottom you're seeing there. My current projection that you see on this slide is 5.3, where with the latest number that we received last week, my current projection is more like 4.5. So, but we'll probably land in the end, somewhere around in there. And that's okay. That's okay. We budgeted a 4% increase, so, you know, we're gonna be pretty close there, I think.
I just want to say the construction wise, looking at the 20 and 25, you know, that's not because of construction stopped. That's because the cost of construction went up significantly. Where you see that peak in 2022, I was doing a construction project. It took less than a year. When we started the project, one sheet of plywood was $40. When we ended it, one sheet was $88. And so that's where you see a lot of the construction.
That's correct.
But we got a huge hailstorm.
That's,
Yeah.
yeah, that is correct.
So pray for a hailstorm?
No.
Shop local?
So your sales tax budget that I have for FY 27, I'm going to budget a 5% increase over my estimate for 2026. And keep my fingers crossed. Other significant revenues that we have, again, trash collection, we talked about, interest income, who knows where that's going to go. I'm kind of leaving it flat over the current year estimate. Might be a little high if I do that, but that's probably all right. That transfer we talked about, et cetera. So what does this mean? So when I'm looking at 2027 now, we might end, again, this is my estimate, we might end 2026 with fund balance in the general fund of $7,875,000. If revenues are 27,114, and expenses are that, we would increase reserves to 8,232,000. And if we did that, we would stay at the 30.8 that I'm showing there. So even though, so we have to have some net income, if you will, because our expenditure levels are increasing, our reserve balance, the actual number has to increase to stay along with that. And so if we do that, if it all just worked out miraculously, we would be able to stay at 30.8.
And reiterate, the preliminary revenue numbers are based on which sales tax and which ad valorem tax.
That I can certainly do that. So, well, here, I don't even need to go backwards for that. So the sales tax estimate, the sales tax budget, increase is a 5% increase.
From this, where you think,
From
not
where
budget to budget, but
from where
correct.
From where I think we're going to land at the end of this year. The property tax number that brings us that revenue is that increase that you see here. Is the 11,262,000 in total property tax revenue.
And what is the rate to get that?
And that rate is the 59.46 that you see there. Again, these are just.
And back to the de minimis rate, the voter approval rate.
Those are, so no new revenue is 5632 and then 59. So we'd be slightly under that voter.
Above the de minimis, but below the voter approval.
Right. For this discussion tonight and kind of really what I would like you to do is don't get too wrapped up on specific rates, only because it's not going to be that.
Yeah.
But put your heads more around the terms there of your comfort level of a voter approval rate, whether it's 59.89 or 59 or 57 versus a no new revenue of 56, 58, 50, whatever the numbers are going to be. Because no new revenue is going to, the amount of revenue that those bring in will be the same amount, just a different rate based upon exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
So here's another thing I want to show you. I've showed you what's in our budget currently. Okay. What's important for you to also know, though, is what is not in our budget currently. So we've had some discussions with staff. There's some positions in here, a human resources generalist position, Police had talked about a records clerk. There's some event staffing, a mechanic. All of these things we believe are things we need. I talked about that 236. I literally pulled that out of expenses. So that's no longer in there. And then we are short of funding, or underfunded is probably a better way to say it, by a bit in some of our equipment replacement funds. Again, that fund we transfer from the general fund into an equipment replacement fund for future vehicle replacements. It was my initial plan when we had budget meetings. I had planned on starting to catch us up a bit. That catch up for this 27 period was 175,380. That's not the total amount that we transfer. We transfer over $1 million, but that would have been the increase to that. But for the sake of where we were looking at that higher potential increase in a property tax number, I'm not doing that either. So this $743,000, if you wanted to do all of those things listed, the tax rate equivalent of that is about 3.5 cents. So you would, if I'm already showing you the 59 is voter approval, then to do these things, we'd have to go 3.5 cents or so over voter approval, which would require an election of citizens to capture that. Not what we're proposing here right now. I'm just saying, wanted to show you that that number.
So from a legal / whatever process, if we were to say, CAFRO, uncle, let's just go to the voter approval rate. If let's say we were to do this and it's over the voter approval rate, if they vote for it, then they go with that tax rate. If the voters vote against it, then it goes to the voter approval rate. So it just automatically goes to the voter approval rate if the voters vote it down.
If they voted down
the new rate,
60 some over voter approval, it would go down to voter approval.
Okay, that's what.
Yeah, it doesn't go.
It doesn't go back to this last year's number.
Correct.
It would just go to the voter.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Thank you.
So.
Not that I would ever want to do that. I'm just trying to understand.
No, that's great. That's a great question. So here's. This is kind of some feedback that we're looking for. Is the voter approval type rate, if it were to come in at such a level that I'm showing you tonight, if that's too much to consider, there are some ways that we could reduce that increase. Now, not decreasing the rate from today, but we could reduce the expenditures so that the increase might not be as high. Does that make sense? Am I saying that correctly? So instead of being a 59, could be something less than that. Each 1 penny, based upon what I'm seeing now, again, don't get too wrapped up in the number, but you're talking, say, $210,000. So with each 1 cent reduction in the rate, 1 cent reduction is not a good word there. With each 1 penny on the tax roll, it would be a $207,000 difference. So here's some things that we just kind of have thrown out there. We do, I mentioned before, we have our largest discretionary expenditure is street maintenance. And this is our contracted street maintenance. This is, we're not talking about not filling potholes. We're talking about doing the major overlay program that we've been talking about. And that number is the total number for FY27 is 1,158,000 or some number like that. So you could reduce that by $200,000, and then you'd have, and then you could make up that. That's just one example. I think pay something like $200,000 in contract mowing. $80,000 of that is mowing along I-35. We could consider taking that out completely. That's $80,000. We talked about agency contributions.
Who owns that road?
I'm sorry?
Could we disannex that too?
Yes, that's it. Do the right of way too. Just do the whole.
Careful. Who owns 121?
Yeah, state. But I know my portion.
We talked about those agency contributions. That's discretionary. Some community impact there. And then our current home grant budget is $92,000. We don't have to do that any longer. We built a lot of homes and made some differences to a lot of people's lives with that program over the years, but that's certainly a discretionary expense item. So the other thing, that's one way to do it. If you wanted to, what this is trying to depict is we can, depending upon your feedback, we can reduce some expenses to some comfort level that you might have towards a tax rate type of thing. Alternatively is if you're okay with us looking at street maintenance, again, we've just the increase alone in FY27 is 55 grand. And we have 1 point whatever number. If you're willing to entertain changing street maintenance, what we might recommend, might not, is doing an expense offset. So you're lowering street maintenance by, say, whatever the numbers were. So let's talk those top three, 180,000. So lower street maintenance by $200,000 could get you these things here, if you're willing to even entertain street maintenance.
So I would say this, your capital asset replacement is street maintenance. It's the same. And saying that street maintenance is discretionary is saying that my credit card bill is $3,000, but my minimum payment's $35. So instead of paying $3,000, I'm just going to pay $35. That $2,900 is discretionary.
That's right.
It's really not discretionary.
That's correct.
So I just say that the
consequences.
challenge and the thing, and I say this because when we started without any street maintenance, everything we had to borrow for street maintenance. The roads in Belton were horrible, and we had to go into debt to fix them. And we finally worked to the point where we're paying our credit card bill every month. And I would hate for us to start going back to minimum payments or towards that. And I know, and so I think I'll just say that I think all of those funds that we're saving for tomorrow, we can look at all of those holistically. I would warn against just pulling out one of them because there's a lot of other ones. There's electronics, there's software, there's equipment upgrades, there's facilities, like there's all of that. Anyway, so
And so I agree. I think street maintenance is a huge one, and it's made a huge difference. And we have two ways of funding, and it's property tax and sales tax, as we've just gone over. And I would almost want to consider a sales tax allocation for street maintenance. You can do them in 1/8, and I think an option would be to do reallocation, have 1/8 of the sales tax go to street maintenance into a street maintenance fund, because you're allowed to do that. Because currently cities can't do more than 2%, and we're 1.5, and then 5% goes to BEDC. But if we just took 1/8 of that, we could fund all the street maintenance. And then it'd be locked in, guaranteed.
But it would just be, now we're going to not, and this is just continuing to the personal budget analogy, it would be not putting money in 401k so we can pay off the credit card bills. Because the thing that we do with economic development is long-term investment. It's for our future selves. And so we've spent 100% of the money that we've collected minus what we have in the bank. And so BEDC has done some good investments and continue to
great
do
investments.
And anyway, so I think all of these, no matter which way we want to shade, where we want to, it really boils down to costs more than revenues. To save money, it's like my doctor said is, if you want to lose weight, stop eating. You can exercise all you want. Exercise isn't going to gain or lose weight. Eating is going to lose weight. So anyway, so I think we have to, but it'll be a tough budget year. It's going to be a tough budget year.
I just would say we need to keep that in mind, because that is an option. Yeah. I
Oh,
want to make it clear, I'm not saying BDC does anything bad. They've done great work. But there has been, over the past 5 years, a pretty good amount of leftover money there. And as well as if you compare what we're doing to BDC to other cities our size, they're being funded a good amount above what you would consider the average to be. And which I want them to have the money to operate, whatever that is, but with sales tax continually going up, I think it's a good question of, what would a budget actually be? What would the number need to be in there versus just whatever sales tax dictates?
Yeah.
I have personnel questions.
Yes, sir.
What, and these may be, I'm gonna ask it, but it's probably gonna be a report or at some point, but I guess what I'm getting at is like how much we cover for employee only, how much we cover for spouse, how many do we have kind of on each plan? Those are numbers that when I look at personnel, just personally, I want to
We can provide a good
take a
analysis
peek
of
at.
that.
I'm
Right
not
now,
on the spot.
employee only coverage in both our PPO and our high deductible plan is 0. I mean, that's the premium that they pay.
Okay.
Because city covers 100%.
Gotcha.
But Megan can get you everything you want to know there.
Individual.
Kind of individual. Oh. You learn something new every day.
We can send it to him.
Perfect. Well, I think, and he's bringing up, there's a couple of things we can do on health insurance to save money. I think one is the level of coverage for the employee, which ultimately just shifts the cost to someone else. It doesn't really save any money. But I do think, and we were talking about this, but I'll say it publicly. I think we're getting to the size, and we've had some pretty significant events in the recent history that is driving our rate up, that we may want to consider an actuarial look at. Can we self-insure? Can we use a different type of policy than we currently are to potentially save some money? Or at least not go up as much.
We have asked our consultant to bring back something, what that might look like, just for some data comparison.
Because when does that happen?
We'll get something, I mean, this is the RFP goes out in like
July.
Summer. Yeah, so it's we won't get it back until we're already adopted, but.
In July, we'll meet to actually talk about plan design and what we want to send out for RFP. We won't get our RFP numbers till the first part of September. They get sent out in August and they have a month to get us back their question. We'll have to adopt a budget, but the health insurance is a January effective date.
Gotcha.
So partial year.
Good. Anything else you want to add before we move on? Okay. That's the general fund. We'll go through these quickly. Now looking at the debt service fund. The debt service fund is moving right along, kind of where we expect there. Again, that it's the same thing as the general fund. Revenues are a little bit low. In 26. So we may end up at that 173 and $50,000 increase to 231 at the end of 27. The reason these balances are a little bit high is because remember the general fund is the general fund operations is covering, is making the debt payment, if you will, on the fire engine debt that we issued a couple of years ago. And so we have to build up some cushion because that first payment hits in February and I would not have had enough money just, if I kept this at 0, I would not have transferred enough at the end, but anyway. So, this is general fund revenues. I'm sorry, debt service fund revenues. You know, they stay pretty flat. 1,566,000 in 2027.
And that is, there's a rate for debt service as well.
Yes.
And this includes the decrease in, does that rate?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. Yeah, this rate would also go up some. Expenses at 1,508,000, same number because it's all based upon our debt service schedules. Our debt looks like this. This is what we'll have outstanding at September 30 of 2026. $7,822,000 worth of outstanding principal. We do have some things that are maturing fairly soon. In 2027, those 2017 GOs will roll off. In 2028, the 2008 COs will roll off. And so your payments look like this for the next several years. You see they're flat here with a slight decline here in 2029 when those two things roll. And then we'll drop then pretty significantly in 2031 and then again in 2034. That's if we don't issue any new debt. So what's on our calendar going forward? So we're doing this meeting tonight actually a little 1 week early or 2 weeks early. Was originally scheduled for the next meeting, but I kind of wanted to get this in your hands as soon as I could for you to see why. But the next time we'll probably talk about budget is June 9th, water and sewer and drainage, and then our CIP. The 23rd, we'll talk hotel, TERS, IT, etc. And then on July 14 is our big date there, is when I bring back the official proposed budget for FY27 to council. We won't get our tax roll until July 25. That's when we'll know what our real number is to get us to whatever revenue we're showing in our budget. And then we have public hearings and you'll propose a rate August the 11th, maybe. And then we'll adopt this. The reason there's two dates that you see there, August 17 or September 8, is based upon the tax code. And if council desires to go over voter approval and actually have an election to go over voter approval, I need to know that fairly soon. I don't mean tomorrow. I mean sometime after that July 14 or July 25. That's really the date. Because we're going to have to get on a rapid pace because we'll have to actually adopt that tax rate, have all these public hearings, and adopt the tax rate and the budget by August the 17th. Okay. The reason you do that is because once you adopt that tax rate, then you call for an election on that tax rate that'll be in November. But we only have to have that accelerated schedule if that's the plan, if that's something that you want to consider. If you're still on the fence, I'm still going to race you and we'll go for it.
I will say, based on conversations I've had with citizens as well as council members, I think the way to ensure people show up at your public hearing is to go above the voter approval rate. So I don't think there will be appetite to go above the voter approval rate.
Yeah.
Now, how close are we to the voter approval rate and the last year's rate?
Yeah.
Where that's where I think we're going to land in that window, and we'll probably argue and lose some friends over it. But I think we're going to be in that window.
I don't, unless you tell me otherwise, or you really get to proposing us.
No, I don't think
we're going to be shooting for that September 8th. That takes me to that slide. I think we've discussed this in.
So good job. Appreciate the info. Lots of good work there. There's lots of staff in the room. If anybody has the appetite to take a $1.7 million pay cut, that would solve a lot of problems for us. So you could just, if you don't want to raise your hand, you can talk to Sam after.
Yeah. Only one person in this room makes more than that.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough budget year, but I will say I'm not for raising, property taxes at the same time. If you were to come in and say, if the consensus among the 7 were that we should do 59 point, whatever you said, I would just say I don't really want to see, if the voter approval rate is 59.89, I don't want to see us take 59.88. I would almost rather send it to the voters if that's what it's going to be, as opposed to being like a used car salesman and say it's $9.99 instead of 10.
No, I think that's authentic. I think at least I agree with you. I mean, we need to come up with the number, not try to game the system.
Yeah.
And I think that's the goal. I think one thing that you didn't add here that we've kind of been just kind of brainstorming what are ways, and there's different ways we can go up on the rate, which raises revenue. We can go down on our expenses, which decreases our expenses, right? You could do that. We could dip into our fund balance, right? We could do that. The other one is
not very far
listed CIP. There may be some things in our current budget that we pay for that could be, because if you look at it, we're going to debt equals 0, which is a great place to be. But you don't want to have to not go not go to Disney World with the family because you want to make that one last car payment this month. I mean, sometimes it's like, well, let's just keep making car payments and let's go to Disney. So we may want to see what we could do on the debt, that waterfall, to where we won't change our debt, but we could fund a few initiatives and shift it out of the general fund. As I'm not suggesting that that's what we should do, but it should be a lever that we should be able to look at. Because I know that there's legality of what you can do and what goes to voters and how much you can borrow and all that. So I think it would be good to have that as an option, even though it's maybe a really bad option.
Did you go to the parks meeting earlier today?
Yes, I did. Well, sometimes
some of that's going to fill this up when we talk about our CIP.
Yeah. Yeah, but some years it's better to talk about going to Disney World, and some years it's good to say, hey, we're going to eat Chef Boyardee and watch some Mr. Rogers on TV.
Amen to that, bro. Thank you, Mayor.
I do think just kind of.
My question, do you feel like that,
yeah, go ahead, Craig.
your projections take into a consideration as much as we can, what we know about I-35, I-14 and the impact thereof on the, particularly on the sales tax, but also on the property tax?
We're still working on that, based upon the whatever proposed alignment we might end up with will affect some business and some not. I think we're getting close to having some new projection there, and then we can kind of start playing that forward and see what that might look like.
We have received the new maps. Finally, Matt has received those, and we're adjusting based on the property impacts, or the reduction in impact based on the reduced express lanes. And so we're calculating property value, sales tax, hotel motel impacts as a component of our correspondence back with TxDOT. So we're working at it. There's not any direct relationship with the budget in terms of sales tax estimate 5%. Going forward, so there's no reduction in that, just on the face of it at this point in time.
So for clarification, so Craig's asking, I think broadly, but specifically for next year. So if we start seeing some impact from the I-35 change, what budget year, fiscal year would that impact? So we're budgeting right now. We're in 26. We're going to be fiscal year 27, which is 26, 27, right? Half and half. So which year is TxDOT looking at?
That's a tax exempt entity. 2030 is
say 29, FY 29 for maybe acquiring properties, so that you would see maybe some places close up and because they've been bought out.
Sure.
FY 31 probably for construction.
So we're 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, that's
okay.
Yeah.
We have had some preliminary discussion with BDC, with the board about a set aside for anticipating I-35, I-14 acquisitions, but also to allow for relocation, and also utility infrastructure type contributions as businesses move and relocate. Again, very general discussion, no commitment just yet, but we have suggested that might be a set aside in their budget going forward. And that could begin as early as 27, perhaps 28, to have some money to work with as property owners get the final word about they're going to be acquired or not, and then what it's going to take to retain them in place. So that is a vehicle for considering that, and the board seemed to be receptive to that when we spoke last time.
Thank you, Sam.
Any other questions or comments? All right.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
not a quote the name of the rep again thing, so we won't say that. So, all right, that's the last item on our agenda. Lucky 13 for last, which came after a number higher than 13. All right, we stand adjourned. 7:34.